Hello and welcome to this special holiday episode of the Gayming Podcast Live. I'm your host, Mia Byte, and today we're here to talk about two big things, the holidays and the Gayming Awards. But, as you can already see, I can't do this alone, so please welcome my co-host, Robin Gray.
Hey, you.
Hello.
It's been a while.
It has. It's been a hot minute.
Well,
a cold minute, actually.
It's been a very cold minute.
It's been a very, very cold minute.
Exactly.
But how are you doing?
I'm good. I mean, I'm really happy to be here. This is really exciting. It's holidays / Gayming Awards.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it should be a good show.
Yeah, I am very, very excited too because we're here to do something very special today, right? We're talking the Gayming Awards.
We are indeed. So yeah, we're here to reveal the nominees of the Gayming Awards 2023, presented by Logitech G and Streamlabs. And at this point, I'd love to give a quick shout out to all of our sponsors. You're all amazing people. We're going to see you as you kind of flow through all of this. So Facebook Gaming, Rocksteady, all the people that you'll start to see sort of trickle off, and you can check out obviously more online as well. Oh. And as always, you can keep up with all the latest news and features from Game Magazine by visiting us online at gaymingmag.com.
Yes, head on over to gaymingmag.com for all of that information. Now, it wouldn't be the holidays without a special guest swinging by, a super special guest. And jingle my bells, it's only the host of the Gayming Awards, Julia Hardy. Hello!
Hi everybody. Happy holiday. Is it even yet?
Merry something.
Hopefully not working soon.
Yes.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Crack open the eggnog. I'm good. You?
Yeah, I'm really good. I've been sitting in my tracksuit playing The Witcher all day. I've been having a fantastic day.
How classy a life we lead.
Yes. I mean, this is peak. It's like turn off the phone, like buy a load of snacks, ate some cereal with a duvet on me, and just loaded up The Witcher. It was like the stuff of dreams when you become an adult.
The stuff of dreams,
yeah.
Legends and everything else.
Right, heck exactly. Yeah. I've got
Cozying
to say though,
up with a bit of Geralt, that sounds like a good time.
Right, and he starts off in this really hot bath, and I forgot about that. And I was like, God, I really want a bath now. So susceptible.
Can I take the PlayStation into the bath?
That sounds like a really risky thing to do. But also, like, I've just moved into like a new place, and it's great, but like I haven't quite figured out how the heating properly works yet, because it has like 3 radiators, but then like the ceilings are really high, so like they're basically pointless. So It's been freezing. I'm not gonna lie. I literally been walking around like an old lady with like 8 coats on and like a hot water bottle. But I think I figured it out now. But
and a bag of pigeons.
Yeah. For
it's
warmth.
At that point.
For warmth. Wriggly warmth.
It's at that point you're gonna have to set up some kind of like reflective tents above you. Then people see through the window and they think, "What's going on over there? Well, they got tents up."
Yeah. To be fair, at my old flat, the blinds were so terrible, and it had floor to ceiling windows, and basically it would have direct sun in the summer, and there were no windows on the other side, so you could never get like a breeze. So when it was summer, I'd have to put up like space blankets on the window so I didn't die from overheating. But I looked at it from the outside, and yeah, I looked as crazy as I imagined I would. I did, like, all of the windows covered in basically tinfoil.
Did people sort of like look at you in the street going, "Yeah, it's her that grows the weed"?
Either that. I was like, "You're growing like a load of weed." No, luckily enough, people knew me well enough. I think so, but then I guess maybe they just didn't put 2 and 2 together. Plus, they couldn't see in, so it's fine. They didn't know it was me. Hopefully,
good. Wow.
How are you going, Mia?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I've just been, trying to like catch up on video games recently. Just been getting up to all the things. There's so much that's out right now during the holiday season, and so much to catch up with. But we'll talk about that later. How about you, Robin?
Meaty games as well, though. Really, not even just little. I mean, there are a lot of little games, but there are lots of very large, girthy games out there.
Yes.
Welcome to the Gayming Podcast, everyone.
We talk about girthy games. Yes.
It's a kind of width.
Nothing more you need on a winter's evening than a nice bit of girth, just to sort of see you through.
I mean, I think we can all agree on girth, can we? I don't know.
Like The Witcher 3, there's a lot of girth to that game.
There's a lot of girth. Yeah, very girthy.
So much to do, so much to see.
So many plates to earth.
Yes, of course. And before we move on, Robin, how about you? What have you been getting up to recently?
Work mainly, obviously prepping for the Gayming Awards, all very exciting.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Very exciting.
We will come on to talk about that quite at length in a bit, just to go back to length and girth for a second. What have I been playing? Oh, so I've still been tinkering around. You know me, Lego Star Wars, always a classic. So I've been.
I could have guessed that. I don't know why I asked it, because I'm like, I know that's Robin. It's just Lego games and Borderlands.
Star Wars, Borderlands, Lego.
There's something nice and comforting about them, and sometimes what I sometimes find as well is I find not my daily life really stressful, but I feel like my brain gets used a lot during the day, and so sometimes when I come home, I just really don't want to use it anymore.
Yeah, we don't need a Death Stranding. We don't need an Elden Ring.
I don't want to think. I don't want reaction time.
Exactly.
Please.
Exactly.
I'm old. I just want to sit here and have fun.
The Batman trilogy. For some reason, it was on Black Friday on the PlayStation Store for like a 10.
Oh, the Arkham games?
So you haven't played it before?
Oh, I have, yeah, years ago. But they remastered the first two.
So good.
I played a bit of the first one, skipped over it, and got into Arkham City because that was my favorite one.
Genuinely,
absolutely.
I feel like the Batman. Finally.
Oh, yeah. And it's kind of sad that we lost Kevin Conroy recently as well. But, he will live on in those games. And
you also going to get a little bit. You're going to get a bit more of him as well.
Yes, in the Suicide Squad game.
He's voicing in Suicide Squad. Yeah. So you're going to get a little bit of posthumous performance, which is cute.
Well, now I'm sad.
Yeah, let's set the mood for a nice triumphant evening, hasn't it? So let's get on to happier things.
Yes, something a little bit more lighthearted, such as the Gayming Awards, of course, presented by Logitech G and Streamlabs. Sorry, yes. They're back in April, live in New York City, and that's very exciting. They're going to be live here on Twitch too.
I'm so excited.
But it's New York City. It's amazing. On Broadway, right?
We absolutely are.
Wait, I don't have to do any kind of musical anything because you don't want that.
Maybe we do now. Now that you said it, I feel like that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, let's just put an idea in my head. We are literally, we're a block from Times Square. So we are more on Broadway than some of the big theaters.
Oh my goodness.
So it wouldn't be me without there being some sort of musical element somewhere in the show.
As long as it's just not me doing it. I don't mind if it's there. Just don't make me...
Last year, there were the drag performances that weren't aired on Twitch, unfortunately, due to copyright reasons.
And then Twitch went and did it themselves and thought it was fine. So I'm kind of gutted by that. But
because they were amazing.
Yes, they were.
And I was stressing about I really wanted to do it, but they were all doing it to copyright music. So of course, me being the good Christian boy that I am, was like, oh no, we can't possibly do copyright music. And then not 2 months later, TwitchCon comes out, doing drag performances to copyright music, but because they're using, we'll figure it out.
Okay, so picture this then. What about Julia Hardy in a drag performance? Then you don't have to sing. Then you just can mime along to the song.
In a mirror ball from the ceiling or something.
I mean, I was going to do that anyway. I don't know if you've read the contract that my agent sent over. It was very specific about what I descend from and how and the speed. But yeah, that could be funny. It could be really funny. I'll have to learn some skills somehow.
Get the choreography going.
Right.
Oh yeah, I'm really good.
Exactly.
Yeah, great.
So, like in 2022, in this year, we have 12 award categories. And this year, more people than ever, have been able to have their say because our nomination categories were wider open. So a lot more people had public nominations were available for character, authentic representation. There was a lot more that people could have their say, which was wonderful.
Yes. So, let's get into the nominations. We're going to be going through each category, obviously, with the exception today of the Gaming Icon and Streamer Rising Star class, which, that's going to be announced nearer to the awards themselves. It's kind of a bit spoilerish if we announce it right now. So we're going to leave that to the side for a little bit.
Absolutely. So if we're all sitting comfortably,
I am ready.
let's kick
Do it.
off with
Yes.
best
Almost.
LGBTQ.
Wait. Okay, now I'm
Are we
comfortable.
Now we're ready.
we comfy?
Yeah,
We
I'm good.
Yes.
We good?
You
We good?
may proceed.
Thank you. What are we doing? We're kicking off with Best LGBTQ Comic Book Moment. Now, this award recognizes the best LGBTQ moment in a comic book in 2022.
Heck yeah. Now, if you remember, last year's winner was the Pride Omnibus by Joe Glass from Dark Horse Comics and Comixology. Now, Robin, that was, of course, was a fantastic piece.
Yes,
and
it was.
it was so nice to see them on stage, like accepting that reward and just tearing up. It was absolutely great. Robin, who are this year's nominees?
Absolutely. So this year's nominees for the Gayming Awards 2023 are Marvel Voices Iceman, Rockstar and Softboy, Superman, Son of Kal-El, and Young Men in Love. And that's an amazing lineup. And the more observant would notice that Young Men in Love is Joe Glass again.
Yes.
But they are editing this one rather than writing it. So this is an anthology piece. Interesting things to pick out of these, I think. So the Superman, Son of Kal-El was a stunning piece of comic book for this year. Obviously sent the right wing nuts over having sort of like about Superman being bi and stuff. That was just
the only thing I remember about this was my uncle. Apparently, through the grapevine, I heard from my family, my uncle saying they've turned Superman trans, and it's like. It just goes to show you the lack of understanding.
Oh my God.
But, yeah.
It's not only a great example, obviously, of having the character, which is the cousin, son, daughter, whichever one it is, I can't remember. But it's not the classic 1960s Superman. So the sort of like people can enjoy themselves a little bit. The other thing about this is that it's not just obviously representation of the hero, but the boyfriend is Asian, so it actually has good LGBTQ Asian representation in comic books as well, which is lovely. And of course, on the flip side, on the Iceman side as well, I think it's a really great comic because I think it tells a really fun story because it actually does. It kind of talks about how his life, not only from the heroic side, but also the sort of like the messy gay kind of side of it as well, which I think is really cool to sort of like normalize things a little bit.
I think that was something that was very interesting about some of the nominees last year as well, as how these superhero characters actually navigate the world as like queer superheroes. So anything that goes into that is always going to be a plus.
Yeah, definitely. They all sound. I'm not the biggest comic book person, but like honestly, like these are definitely piquing my interest more than like most other stuff for sure. Yeah, it's really interesting to see that. Yeah, definitely Superman. Awesome. I'm going to read that.
Right. So the next award is the Best LGBTQ Tabletop Game Award, which recognizes the best tabletop game or supplemental released in 2022 with LGBTQ themes.
Absolutely. Last year's winner was Adventuring with Pride from Jack Dixon, Volume 2. That'll be important in just a second. Mia, who's up for the nominations this year?
Okie dokie. So this year we have Adventuring with Pride, A Queero's Journey, follow-up there from Jack Dixon, sorry. We have Pathfinder Lost Omens from Paizo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Pride Across the Multiverse from Wizards of the Coast, and Tower of the Soul from Awfully Queer Heroes.
Now, Pride Across the Multiverse, I will admit to the fact that I am not a Magic the Gathering person. Freely admit to that. But this picture that we feature here with the bears in the hot tub, that was released on the internet, sent several of our sites, Bearwood Magazine and Gaming Magazine, into meltdown simultaneously. And I was like, where the hell did this come from? And then I looked into it and it's just like, oh my God, they did it amazingly. And they didn't, what I loved about this entire set of cards was the fact that they picked off beautiful artwork for each part of our community. They didn't just go with kind of 10 twinks, or they didn't just go with kind of just 10 muscly dudes or whatever. Like they really kind of dug into the community and got good representation across the board.
Nice.
So top marks to them.
I'm double checking the Pride Across the Multiverse because I remember there was a specific card that had me reeling. I absolutely adored it. I think it was just like the two, I believe it was the two sapphic just girls just holding each other, embracing each other with people looking on, as well as like the rainbow council too. I like absolutely adore. I wish I had the pictures here just to show up for you, but
they are all stunning. Please
Oh wow,
do
yeah, I'm just literally looking at them now. They are gorgeous.
Please do Google them and enjoy them in your own time.
Yes.
Adventuring with Pride, Aquero's journey obviously is volume 3, so Jack's back for his second nomination, which is fantastic. And Pathfinder, actually, it's not necessarily obvious straight away, but the character on the front cover of that is a trans woman. So we have trans representation on the box of Pathfinder.
I love that. I love that so much. Of course, I'm really looking forward. I've actually been looking into potentially getting into the Tower of the Soul campaign as well. So I'm hoping at some point I'll be able to like sit down with a group of people and play that. But yes, that'll be a lot of fun.
Next up, it's the Best LGBTQ Plus Contribution to Esports Award. Now, this award recognizes the contribution of a person or organization who has done a significant amount of work in promoting, developing, and championing diversity in esports.
So last year, the winner was the awesome Captain Fluke.
Amazing.
Of course, has been doing amazing work. Julia, tell us this year's nominees.
Yes. So, okay, this year's nominees are Chicago Metropolitan Sports Association. We have Team Overture, Valorant Game Changers, and Exit.
Fantastic lineup. And CMSA there again for the second nomination, I believe. They were nominated last year as well. So top marks to them. I can always see CMSA kicking off in chat, which is wonderful. And Overture in chat as well, which is even better. So so look, Team Overture, I'm going to pick a couple off. They've had a huge impact this year in LGBTQ live tournament charity space. They've done some fantastic stuff throughout the year. And of course, Valorant, they're highly notable sort of for what they're doing with the Game Changers, with their marginalized gender and women group as well. So brilliant for them. CMSA doing some great stuff. Exet, fantastically diverse team. I believe they picked up Ewok this year, so they're really kind of putting their money where the mouth is as well. So yeah, great lineup of nominations for this year. Super exciting.
Very exciting. Now, the next award is one of our big ones. It is the LGBTQ Streamer of the Year Award, of course, sponsored by the wonderful folks over at Streamlabs. Now, this award is for the most popular LGBTQI plus streamer as chosen by the watching public and our judges.
Yes, and remember that's a slightly different one. So the last couple of years, Streamer of the Year has been purely 100% public vote. This year is going to be 50-50. So you, the fantastic watching public, can go and vote for your favorite, and our judges will be doing the same, and that'll be 50-50 vote split, basically. So that's that. Mia, who's up for the nominations this year?
Oh, there are some good names on this list. Okay.
Brace yourself, drum rolls, etc.
Yes, so the nominees are Drag Trashly. We have, I'm hoping I'm saying this correctly, Esp Simone, Fox Queen, Gothica Love, Hydro, Soy Milk, Sammy MJ, Super Butter Buns, Toth, and Willow. Some fantastic names, some of which I'm personal friends with as well, but that's not going to affect anything here, of course. But it's nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces that I don't necessarily know. I'll have to check these peeps out too.
Well, that's what's great. That's what's great about all of this, though, is that it's literally all you're giving me right now is like a full list of everything that I don't know that I definitely need to go and check out for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. It's. I think if we literally just took this list of 10 fantastic people, put them all into Twitch and go and enjoy their content, that's the rest of your week, month, year sorted, as well as everyone else that's doing fantastic work in the space, of course. But yeah, some fantastic people. Sammy MJ's back for a second year in a row. Fox Queen's back, nominated in the first year and now in the third year. Drag Trashly's a new entrant. Toph's back. Really great cross-section of hugely inspiring content creators. I can see that the chat is kicking off. We love to see that.
Yes.
And the vote is open, I believe.
Yes, so voting for the category will be open at the end of the show. You can actually use !vote in chat if you're watching this live right now to bring up the links for all of that. And of course, as was said, this year the public vote will count for 50% and the judges' vote will also count for the other 50%. So get your votes in now.
Absolutely. Good crew. Good crowd.
Absolutely.
Where have we got to? Next up, we're on to our indie game. So Best LGBTQ plus Indie Game Award. Now, this award acknowledges the best indie game made by an independent developer, which is focused on telling an LGBTQ story or heavily features an LGBTQ element, character, etc.
Yes, last year it was won by the amazing Unpacking, which is a super
I still
fun
haven't
game.
been able to put that down. Honestly, I can lose hours in that game.
That's what I love most about, like, honestly, it's like we're saying at the awards. It's like sometimes if you actually like explain verbally out loud to someone who doesn't know games what these games are, like Boyfriend Dungeon or Unpacking, you're like, people are just like, why would you ever play? First of all, either like, what are you talking about? Or second of all, why would anyone play that? But that's the magic of games. It's like, we were talking about this before we went on the stream, how just, you can think you've seen a game type, a game genre 1,000 times before, and someone will just come with like this uniquely fresh twist on it. And then suddenly you've lost most of your free time, like Robin has.
Putting things on shelves.
So, of course, we have some brand new, fresh nominees for this year. So, Robin, go ahead, tell us who they are.
Absolutely. So, first up, we have Arcade Spirits, the new challengers, Fiction Factory and P-Cube. We have Butterfly Soup 2 from Brianna Lai. We have Signalis by Rose Engine and Humble Games. We have Validate, Struggling Singles in Your Area by Veritable Joy. We Are OFK by Team OFK. And Wild Flowers from Studio Dry Dock.
Very cool. Oh my god, I'm very happy to see some of the games on this list. I personally had a very good time. I've not played all of them as of yet, but I've personally had a very good time with Signalis so far.
Yes,
but
it's so good. It's exactly what we're talking about. That you think it's a certain kind of game, and you think you've seen it before, and then suddenly, literally 4 hours go by, and you're like, and it's just the atmosphere. My God, it's amazing. It's so good.
Anything that like speaks to my love of old school Resident Evil kind of survival horror games is always going to like gel well with
Bit
me.
Of Alien thrown in for good measure.
Yes, of course,
delightful.
Of course.
What else have you guys played? Have you played any of the other ones?
I played some of Arcade Spirits. That was
Arcade Spirits is cool. Validate's cool. I like the sort of like, obviously Validate's done from a very specific angle, which is really fantastic to sort of like have super diverse, amazing POC representation. And Wild Flowers. Now that's kind of, it's a bit of Animal Crossing farming, Brains Gone Dead, and it kind of really puts a lot of twists in around kind of LGBTQ representation in there. So it's a very sort of like, it's a really good farming sim.
It's great. I'm taking all of this down. These are all like going on my Christmas need to play them list, which is getting long. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
there are a couple of titles I've yet to play on the list, and I'm really looking forward to actually diving in. Especially, We Are OFK. I believe that's the band-based one, isn't it? Yeah, that one from the trailer that always looked very appealing. It's just finding the time to play all the games, and now I have an excuse. So.
Exactly. And we'll come up to that in a minute. Listen, so we had hundreds and hundreds of nominations for this category. And people would be surprised by what wasn't on this list as well. We had Boss Game, for example, that didn't make the cut. We had other games that even as Gayming Magazine have ranted on about how brilliant they are all year. To get hundreds of nominations down to 6. A, credit to the judges, but B, just was such a strong year for LGBTQ indie games.
Absolutely, yes, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who wins this one, because honestly, from what I've played so far, it could go to any of them. So
yeah,
it's a really interesting, like it's a really interesting mix of very different types of games as well. Like
that's true. It is like there's something for everybody there,
like
which is
totally different. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great point.
Like, I would not recommend, I wouldn't necessarily recommend Signalis to somebody who is out there playing wildflowers, but it depends on their likes. But if they only like farming sims, it'd be like, it's so different.
I see that.
Oh my God, you're just going to call me out on stream. And I'm on front page.
Oh, that's fun times. Okay, the next award is for the Best LGBTQ Character Award. Now, this is sponsored by Rocksteady. This award recognizes the best LGBTQ character, playable, or significant NPC in a game.
Last year's winner was the wonderful Alex Chen from Life is Strange True Colors. That was the one of 3 awards they won on the night, I think.
Yeah, they really cleaned up, didn't they? They were great.
They really did, yeah. Character, Authentic Rep, and Game of the Year, I believe. So yeah, that was a well-trodden path from Izzy's seat up onto the stage. But Julia, who is up for the nominations this year, please?
Right, okay. Okay, so nominated is Bones 3-Word from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, that's 2K. Bridget from Guilty Gear Strive, which is Arc System Works. Catalyst, Apex Legends, Respawn, and EA. Elstus from Signalis, Rose Engine, and Humble Games, and Law from New Tales of the Borderlands, which is Gearbox and 2K, and Tara Wild from Wildflowers Studio Drydock. So again,
congratulations to all of them.
Yeah, really interesting mix.
Yeah, these are like
characters,
all super cool characters, and I don't want to like go too into my faves on here because I'm trying to stay unbiased.
You can talk about Bridget. Go on, talk about Bridget.
It's fine.
Yeah, okay, I love Bridget. Okay, as let me just say, as a representative of the trans community, Bridget kind of broke the internet when it was announced that this was a trans character. I specifically know that my community like super loves Bridget. So a lot of good, but we can potentially talk about that more in the future for any like trans related conversations that pop up on the podcast. So, but I am, I'm just happy to see Bridget there. And as well as Catalyst, any trans characters.
Yes, absolutely.
That's my bias.
I was about to say, yeah. I was about to say, I mean, Catalyst was, Bridget, super important. I remember we were on a podcast, I think, when the week that came out, and we had good conversation about that. I think it was during Digi Pride off the top of my head. But Catalyst, I top marks to EA and Apex for that, because they actually consulted with GLAD and had trans creators come in to form the character.
They had a trans voice actor voice the role as well, which is 10 out of 10. So,
and let's keep going with the trans representation as well, because Law, New Tales in the Borderlands, is trans, voiced by our good friend of the magazine, Kieran Strange, who was last seen at Gaming Live in September. But so and Law is on a really interesting journey as a character through the game. We last saw them, I think, in Borderlands 3 as a side character, and has come into this. And they are transitioning as this kind of path continues. So the game itself is kind of seeing the character transition, which is fantastic. And of course, then I'm putting my hand up and saying at this point, like, big Borderlands franchise fan. So it's fantastic. I have 2 characters nominated.
And who would have guessed, like, an undead pirate?
An undead pirate that happily talks about singing pirate that happily talks about his boyfriend, happily talks about his husband, and is again. This don't get me on a little soapbox, but this comes back to the whole authentic representation thing that the Borderlands franchise just does so well, of just completely just bulldozing that conversation through, of a singing pirate just casually talking about their husband, and nothing is made of it. It's just completely accepted. So yeah, fantastic. Tara Wild, of course, Wildflowers doing brilliant farming, and of course Elster from Signalis as well.
Yeah. I super enjoy the story that was crafted, because you don't necessarily know that character is LGBTQI plus at the start until it like goes further on into the story. There's kind of like hints at it, but it's not specifically spelled out straight away. So it's nice to see all sorts again on this list, especially like the indie games getting involved too. It's great to see that indie representation there too. Right. So we have another award. The next award is the Authentic Representation Award, which recognizes the best example of authentic LGBTQ representation in a game.
Yes, and Unpacking won this one last year as well. So who is going to be nominated this year? Mia.
Okay, let's see if I can say this, because this is a mouthful.
Good luck with the first game name.
Yeah. So the nominees are I Was a Teenage Exoconologist.
Yeah.
Exoconologist.
Exoconologist. Yeah. From Northway Games. And
you didn't say
Finji.
colon, so that's a good thing.
I mean, I wasn't going to say anything, but there it is.
Right? It's colonist. Exocolonist. Is that right?
Exoconologist.
Conologist.
Yeah.
Colon.
But isn't that the same as colonist?
There are more nominees to be enjoyed on this screen.
20 minutes of us pronouncing the game.
Okay, we have Saints Row from Deep Silver. We have Signalis from Rose Engine and Humble Games. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands from Gearbox and 2K. Validate struggling singles in your area from Veritable Joy. And We Are OFK from Team OFK. Again, one of those is a mouthful.
But ironically, actually a really good game. If you can get past the pronunciation, then you can come up with your own pronunciation in your own time.
Biopic, it's however you want to say it. It's fine. No,
absolutely, yeah.
I'm also authentic representation. I feel like a lot of these on this list do that incredibly well.
Good authentic representation. Obviously, Saints Row. Huge shout out to them for just the character creator,
boss maker.
I was about to say the boss maker. Like I think it's fair to say it's probably one of the best character creator boss maker mechanics that we've ever seen.
And I believe you could download that by itself as well and just play around with it.
Absolutely, yeah. That was their they pre-released it as well. That was fantastic.
Yeah, so many options there just for like gender stuff too. Like literally just like you could be like the most femme girl in the world with the biggest package you've ever seen, which is just hilarious and a great representation for me personally. So but not like that. Wait. Okay. Moving on. Signalis was, again, we talked about Signalis just having very, very good representation in general. And part of that is that authentic part of it not necessarily being the character or the story is focused around this one aspect of the character. It's just weaved into the story very subtly and but done well.
Absolutely. So still shout out obviously with Validate doing what they do best, and of course Tiny Tina Wonderlands, the usual personal favorite there, who was just telling some fantastic stories with gay pirates.
Absolutely. Awesome. And of course just Validate in general, like having their
absolutely the story they're telling and the representation they're giving is fantastic, and of course OFK doing
sorry, I'm still recovering from my last from the Saints Row stuff that I said, so let's move on.
Packages, girth, length, it's all happening.
It's a heck of a podcast today.
On the Gayming
podcast today.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's got too cold here in the UK, so we all need to warm each other up.
Oh, definitely.
Moving on. Next up, it's the Industry Diversity Award. This award celebrates the organization who has done a significant amount of work in promoting, developing, and championing diversity in the global games industry.
Exactly. Last year, it was, of course, won by the Uki's Raise the Game initiative. Sorry, Yuki's, not Uki's. Yuki. They did some amazing work, of course. So who is nominated this year?
We have 5 amazing people nominated this year, 5 amazing organizations, and they are Code Coven, Gamer X, Girls Run These Worlds, Glitch, and Queerty Gamers. Congratulations to everyone. It's great to see a real cross-section of organizations here, from grassroots gaming organizations with Queerty and Gamer X. We've got Code Coven, Girls Run These Worlds doing really important work in their spaces, and of course the Glitch Fund that is giving some amazing support to indie game developers from diverse backgrounds as well. So again, everyone probably needs an award in this category, and everyone else that was nominated as well, because you are genuinely making real change in the industry. But only one can win.
Yeah, that is a shame, because like you definitely want all of them to be recognized, the work that they do, because the work that they do is essentially, as you said, like it's changing the industry over time, making it more accepting and diverse, and it's just a shame that only one will win, as you said. So, next award though, we have the Gaming Magazine Readers Award, which is super cool and celebrates the Gaming Magazine Readers' favorite game of 2022. Of course, decided by you, our lovely viewers and readers at home.
Absolutely. And the voting is already open because I put it on the same form like an idiot. To those who have already voted for their favorite streamer, this will not be a surprise. This, as I said, this award is nominated for by you, our wonderful readers, etc., etc. Last year, it was won by Resident Evil Village. Julia, please reveal to those who haven't voted yet this year's nominees.
Yes. Okay. So we have some amazing games. So Cult of the Lamb, Devolver Digital, absolute runaway success. No one could shut up about this game. So weird, so original, so brilliant. We've got Disney Dreamlight Valley from Devolver Digital as well. We've got Wildflowers, who of course we've been talking about loads already today from Studio Drydock. Ghostwire Tokyo, which is from Bethesda Softworks. Then we've got Horizon Forbidden West, which, you know, has blown so many people away, but not one was so talked about in the same kind of capacity as other stuff, but is a really perfect game. If you're talking about a well-crafted game, this is beautiful. Then, of course, you have Stray, which, I mean, just put a cat in a game. We're going to love it. But of the best world building ever, like just even going around that universe was incredible. Elden Ring from Software, which blew everyone away as well, and it became sort of a nice little fun show off for all those clever people who've completed it. That's not me. And then Tunic, which was adorable, but also so fun. Like, these are really, really strong titles here. Really
a quick shout out to anyone that can read.
It's not, Cult of the Lamb.
Cult of the Lamb is listed. It's written twice under Ghostwire. Sorry about that. It's like blooper on our side, but carry on. It's definitely Ghostwire Tokyo.
What did you guys play? Did you play any of these?
Stray,
a couple.
Smash through Stray.
So good.
Mia's
so
currently,
cute.
I can see, living her own Stray fantasy with
Mochi's
knocking around in the background there.
Yeah, he's
on stream alert.
He's being himself again.
Cat on stream alert.
But also, I love the fact it rewarded you for just being a jerk cat as well, like knocking things over. You're like,
hilarious.
Love it, hilarious.
Have you seen that they've released cat merch for Stray?
What? Wait, an actual cat?
No, but merch for your cat.
Oh,
you can get
like
a harness that looks like you have.
Oh my god,
doopy thing on the back, and you can buy a backpack pod that has like the head thing.
I need the backpack.
Is it wrong just to get a cat so you could have a cat and the merch, because now you want both of them? Is that wrong?
Avoid that, please. Avoid that. With this one's a nightmare. It's a roll of the dice. It really is. No, I'm kidding. I love it
though. So
yes,
yeah.
Stray was a fantastic game. I really enjoyed my playthrough with that.
Other games are available. Yes, you played Cult of the Lamb on Digipride, didn't you, with Ambassadors?
Yes, we did. I didn't play it personally. I played a little bit myself as well. But some of our ambassadors played Cult of the Lamb on the channel, and it was a lot of fun. From what I've played, like the dungeon crawling, so much fun, and even like the Twitch integration too, like turning your viewers into characters in the game.
And who doesn't want to create a cult?
I didn't know. That's really good. I know, it's just so clever. It was such a weirdly silly idea, but I spent a lot of time playing that as well. Horizon, even I spent a lot of time playing that. Beautiful game.
I have it, still haven't played it. I really need to. But
it's I think it's a much kind of like bigger sort of expansion on kind of like what's sort of happened before, and it's kind of like ironed out a lot of the kinks that were kind of like in the first game. It's beautiful. Like you must have seen like all over Twitter at the moment, people keep just like posting up pictures of like the sea and things like that from Horizon, and you're like, oh dear God, it's beautiful. I must go to there. It's so pretty.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to. I definitely need to play it once I'm done with the God of War. Maybe I'll jump back into to that.
It's quite a sort of like, it's like a I would say it's like a semi-cozy game, because I feel like there's so much kind of like, I mean, there is obviously like combat, but it's that sort of like comfy combat. It's not like Elden Ring.
And there's like a lot of exploration and climbing and just like looking at the world, I guess. Well, I'm taking from the original game because I enjoyed that so much. So I definitely want to play this one. I know a lot of people really love Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Yeah, I was going to say, talking of hardcore,
so I don't know this
mechanics,
one really.
It's basically Animal Crossing with Disney characters.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's actually really good. I lost a fair few hours to that when it first came out. It came out quite early on Game Pass as pre-release. It's coming out on other platforms, I think, down the calendar. But yeah, it's really cool, and I think that they did a really great kind of blend of classic Disney characters. Scrooge McDuck runs the shop. Scrooge McDuck is basically is Tom Nook, basically.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, exactly.
You money hungry weirdos, stop getting us all into this like weird loan Ponzi scheme or something.
Shark.
What is it? Yeah,
loan sloth. But and then you kind of start off with your core. You're rescuing a valley from a loss of belief or some nonsense. You just want to get to the Disney stuff, but then you have to kind of like bring in other people. And so you have, what's really cool is you get some of the more popular movies really early on. So you go straight to Ratatouille, then you go to Moana, then you go to Frozen. So you they know where their bread's buttered. Like I think the risk of it was always going to chop around in kind of like some of the old classic Disney stuff, but actually they went straight to the modern stuff straight away.
Okay, yeah.
But you still have Mickey and Goofy.
What if you've never really watched any Disney films?
Skip. No, it's I think as a game, it could probably still stand on its own two legs. But quite honestly, just go and play Wildflowers.
Duly noted. It's been underlined.
I think a lot of the Disney thing. I think a lot of the certainly the streamers online are probably going to get shouted at by chat in a second. But I think a lot of the sort of like the Disney gays are the ones that kind of really done a good job on it on stream. I don't imagine anyone would play it by choice if you're not a big Disney fan. Personally. Okay. I'm a big Disney fan, so I enjoy it.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Like, anything with the Disney label on it is gonna appeal first to the Disney fans. So exactly. But like your Stardew Valley fans might be like, I've never seen a Disney movie, and who has never seen have you never seen a Disney movie?
I mean, I've seen some. I just haven't seen most of them. Like, so I've got a lot of mates who will go to karaoke and then they'll do some sort of like Disney sing off and like they're really drunk and singing at me and I'm like because I don't know.
The issue is going
words.
To karaoke.
I don't think that's the issue.
Crime
I think the issue
against
is having
humanity.
No, it's not. It's a delight when they're not singing Disney songs that I don't know.
So, of course, we also have Elden Ring on the list. I don't think this is a big surprise for anybody. I mean, they've already been a big part of other shows this year that we won't necessarily get into. But I have really enjoyed my playthrough of that game. It was a fantastic game. The first Souls game I ever completed as well. So that was a lot of fun. I know. Did you have a go, Robin? I can't remember.
I watched my partner played it quite a bit, and I just watched it going, it's not for me.
This is the thing though, so like it's not for everybody, is it?
Look, we've had many a conversation about my gaming style, which is super easy and non-stressful, and I think that to me is exactly what I need in my life. Hence the Lego, hence all that sort of stuff. I don't need to be stressed. I have enough of that already. So I think that it's something with Elden Ring for me, just looking at it, like dying is not a good thing in life in general, but in video games, like it stresses me out sort of thing, because it makes me feel like I failed. Now a game that's kind of built on that premise is only going to annoy me even further. And yeah,
I don't know, but then how do you feel about like? Did you play like Returnal or Hades or anything like that?
I think I played Hades a little bit because obviously they kind of swept up on that last year as well.
Because I think there's dying can be all right in some games when they do it well, and you're not like overtly punished for it. Whereas like Elden Ring it's designed to be punishing. You know what I mean? Like it's designed to be difficult. I'm slightly concerned about BAFTA next year in that I will have to play Elden Ring before then, and even that time pressure of like completing it is stressing me out now thinking about it.
Well,
like
the nice thing about Elden Ring is that you can just explore the world and like power level yourself just by killing enemies over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was totally planning to do. Just like becoming like monstrously powerful. And then I don't need any of the things or other things to find them. I could just hit them with my big sword and then they'll die.
There's still a farming location in the blood area that you can get a lot of XP really quickly. Those videos are online if that helps.
Interesting. So what you just if I come oh man.
Yeah. And I feel like that's probably why it's the most accessible. I haven't played either Ghostwire or Tunic. I really want to play Tunic, and I found out the other day that it's on Game Pass, so I'm just gonna jump in and give that a go.
Game Pass. Yeah, definitely. That's a definitely Christmassy kind of game. Like it's super cute. Like combat's really fun, and you're kind of going around the world. Yeah, lovely, cozy game, cozy but
one for the Christmas break. Let's go.
Yes.
Definitely.
But seriously, the list of Christmas break games, I'm like, Christmas is not long enough to do these things.
We're almost at that point in the conversation, but we've got one more award to do.
Let's do it. I'm ready. My body is ready.
Which award is it?
So finally, it's the Game of the Year award. This is the best game released in 2022 as chosen by our panel of judges. Does not have to be LGBTQ+. It is literally our Game of the Year. So yes.
And remember, this doesn't have to be LGBTQ based, as you just said.
Sorry.
That's okay. just talking over what I have to say. That's all good. It's basically just the best game of the year. So expect to see some non-LGBTQ based games on this list. Last year, of course, was an LGBTQ involved game. Was Life is Strange: True Colors. Again, absolutely fantastic title. Captured the hearts of a lot of people. But Robin, for the last time today, please tell us the nominees for this year.
Bar one, we've seen them all before. So we have Kieran, you're literally fired. We'll see you. We have
first one is not the one.
We have Arcade Spirits, the new challengers.
I was going to say
Validate. It's not Validate. I'm so sorry, Validate. It's not you.
That is bold.
It's Cult of the Lamb from Devolver Digital, God of War Ragnarok from Santa Monica Studio, SIE, and Elden Ring. So yeah, we've seen 3 of these already with God of War adding to the list.
Yeah, that is very odd to me that God of War is here, but it hasn't been in any of the other nominations. That's so weird to me. Like, I know this was like a publicly nominated thing, but I guess God of War has been super, super recent too. So that's probably why it was missing from a couple of those. Like, I'm still going through my playthrough of that. Really been enjoying it so far. Obviously, we've talked about these other titles, but yeah, I think any of them could take it. Really,
I think it's a really interesting list because it's kind of like obviously God of War and Elden Ring battled it out at the Game Awards recently, and that happened, and then someone got up on stage. Talking about Bill Clinton, and it's okay. We had Julia 3 this year, so we did the random shout out on stage first. Then, but then you also then have Cult of the Lamb, and then you also have Arcade Spirits, and I think it's testament to the wonderful world that we exist in, that a wonderfully queer game like Arcade Spirits can go up against God of War and Elden Ring for Game of the Year.
Yeah, it's kind of like fantastic that there is such diversity in what has been chosen. That you have your queer games and you have your more mainstream games as well. So It's very, very hard to choose between some of these games on this list too, because obviously some of them are massive, big budget games that have had so many hours and people working into it. But at the same time, like Cult of the Lamb could totally take that on, as well as like Validates, like just being much smaller teams of people with probably much smaller. Sorry, Arcade Spirits. The panel is confusing me. Yes, the panel is confusing me. Sorry.
What you see.
Say what you see, Arcade Spirits, which is funny because I read Validate, but I was still thinking about Arcade Spirits, which is so weird. But yes, Arcade Spirits could totally take that on just for the story itself, and it's just a testament to how impactful these games have been.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. It's an amazing list.
It is an amazing list. I'm happy with that.
Yes. Good.
Yeah,
I'm glad our host is happy.
That's the important thing, obviously, not anyone else.
No, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, just to heck with everybody else. You come first. You come first. Great. So we're through that list and all the fantastic nominees, and of course we are excited to reveal that voting for Stream of the Year and the Readers Award is now open. Has been open, but you can still head on over, use ! vote in chat. Head to gaymingmag.com/vote23 now to cast your votes.
Absolutely. Go do the voting, do the things, and support all of these amazing nominees. There's 50 odd people we've just seen. We still have a class of 2023 to reveal later or earlier next year, I should say, plus our gaming icon, our Lifetime Achievement Award per winner to enjoy at a later date. The awards will be broadcasting in April live from New York City, as we said, and live here right on Twitch. And of course, we're being supported again by IGN. So a huge thank you to both of them for being our broadcast partners for the show next year.
Yes.
You can't just casually say New York City like that. You have to say it a bit more like New York City. Broadway.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Okay, that's going to be in New York City, baby. Yeah.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
Right on Broadway. Right, though, we are moving on to a segment we like to call The Big Question, and I'm going to ask this big question, and then I'm going to pop off to the lavatory. So I'm going to let you talk about this.
We're live. We're live on the front page.
It's not. We're live on the front page, but we all have needs, right? So, yes, let's talk about the holidays. Take it away, Robin. I'll be right back.
Screen off.
Yeah. Don't take the microphone with you. We don't need a Naked Gun moment. Yes, we all know it's that time of the year when we can kick back, ignore the family, and catch up on our games list. Because what's more important than catching up on our games list? So the big question this episode is, what's on your games list that you'll be playing this Christmas? We've obviously had a fantastic selection of games that have come earlier in this presentation that has inspired me to add a few to the list. Tunic, for example. Not come across it recently, but just from your wonderful words, that is definitely making it onto my list.
Super cute.
Still have to get through my Batman stuff. So I'm playing the Batman trilogy at the moment. And I've just been upgraded on my Lego Star Wars, which I'm thrilled about. Thank you, Xbox. To the Galactic Edition, which has all the extra characters and bits and things and whatever else. Including
so
some
adorable.
Thank you. Including some character packs. You can see the Lego Star Wars hit over there somewhere. Including character packs for Andor as well. So I'm looking forward to playing that. Julia, what's on your Christmas list? What's on the to-do list? And how big is it?
So many games. So many games. It's too much. Because, like I was saying, because I moved and everything, I feel like I've lost like 3 months to just... And it doesn't take much to get really behind in games at all. Plus also because obviously the Witcher update came out. And like, really, what I want to do is just sit around playing that. But I just know that if I sit down playing that, I won't catch up on anything. I'm trying to go through like a lot of little indie titles. So like I started Signalis the other day. Pentiment as well, which is so weird. I don't know why I'm playing it. We're just literally having this conversation before. I don't know why I'm doing anything, but I'm doing it. I don't know why. It's like
describe. I haven't come across Pentiment, so describe Pentiment to us.
Okay, so it basically looks like a medieval wall painting in terms of the aesthetic. It's sort of like someone like looked at sort of Procession to Calvary and took away all the Monty Python-esque-ness of it, and then made a game that's a bit like that, but it was like sort of slightly serious and about kind of like religion and scripture, which makes it sound so boring. And like, what are we even talking about here? And admittedly, yes, I don't know, but I'm still playing it. I don't know. You're basically a guy who's like working on his like masterpiece at this sort of abbey, and you meet these different. I don't know the plot. I'm sure there is a plot, but I'm still playing it, and I still can't really fathom why. I downloaded Callisto Protocol the other day. I did want to kind of check that out a bit, but it's been a bit of a mixed bag reaction wise. So I think it's going to be sort of all right, but potentially a little bit flawed. But that's kind of okay, I guess. God, what else? Wait, what else is there? There's so many. Hold on.
So with Callisto Protocol, what was the humdrum about that? Because I missed that all. I've played a little bit of it, but it was patched at the point I played it. So I heard that they were.
I think basically like some of the sticking points was like tiny inventory. Like at points you are sort of like in the world, but it doesn't really feel like you're in the world. There's just sort of creatures there not really doing anything in particular, like just little things like that. I think everyone just wanted it to be like another Dead Space, and it just clearly wasn't that.
There was a moment at one of the summer video things that all kind of blur together in my brain, where they had a presentation from the Callisto Protocol team, and they had like the first ever exclusive kind of actual gameplay of the game, and I was watching it going, this player's not very good. They were getting
but if you're doing that at presentation, they can't even.
And it's just like I kind of like a little red flag started to pop in my head. It's like if the person that made the game can't play the game to show it off, we've got problems.
there is that. So I don't know. I'm probably going to play it for a bit just to reaffirm, like, take sort of what people take on board. I basically vaguely started Plague Tale Requiem. I definitely need to go back and do it with like amazing actress Charlotte McBurney in there. And God of War. I played it. It came out. It was like maybe like 3 days before I moved. So I played 30 minutes of it and then was like, let's go back to packing some boxes now. Okay. And then, so I've literally played basically nothing. So those are the ones I think I definitely need to have a go at. Most other stuff I feel like, Norco. I still haven't played Norco. I'm looking at a list now because I can't remember. Norco. I still haven't played that. Probably some more Gran Turismo I'll play. What else
Professional interest.
Of course. What else did I play that was great? Obviously, Stray was amazing this year. Immortality, if you haven't played it. Sam Barlow, who made Her Story, who won like 3 BAFTAs for his game. Was that 2018 or something? I don't know. All I remember was I dragged him to XOYO with a load of other people and his BAFTAs in a bucket, and they wouldn't let us in because we were in tuxedos. And then they did, and then he had to check his bucket into like the cloakroom.
That's hilarious.
It was really amazing. Weird. Because like I don't know if you have never been to XOYO in London, it's sort of like it's quite young, skewing, sort of hot, sweaty, neon molly mess, basically, right? You just go in and it's just your eyeballs are wet from just you can't really see, like it's really. And we literally turned up in full BAFTA ball gowns and just sort of swept in. It's one of the better after parties for BAFTA, but anyway, so his new game, sorry I got way off topic there, his new game Immortality sort of takes the original sort of premise of Her Story, which was Her Story was based on text, like you were looking at these interview things and you were typing in keywords. This one you're basically taking objects, which is a sort of weird mechanic, so you like zoom into like a bottle on this bit of film, and then it goes to like another clip that has like another bottle, and that's how you find the other bits of film, which is sort of weird. And it's basically telling the story of this actress and her 3 movies and why they were never sort of like put out into the world. But it's honestly, I started it and I was like, it's the same, it's really similar to Her Story, isn't it? It'll just be like that. And then started playing it and was like, oh my God, like 3 days later, I was still like trying to find all the clips, all the different things, like all the different seasons. It's a real rabbit hole game, like a fully rabbit hole. You start off just looking at a few little clips and then all the different stories, because it's about 3 films and then the life that exists outside the films as well. So it's this really, so you see what happens after they sort of like before they shout action and like outside of the scenes that they're creating. It's fascinating stuff. If you even just for an evening, it's worth playing just to understand what it is. You know what I mean? Like just because it's so unique in terms of games.
It's so weird. I feel like there's some kind of Mandela effect because before the Game Awards, I hadn't heard about this like at all. Like I didn't realize that this game existed. But everything that I've seen from it, I'm super interested into actually diving in and like giving it a go. Like because I know it's probably been on the front of people's minds who like played Her Story, but as somebody who's missed it, like this seemingly come out of nowhere for me. So I'm super excited to give that a look too.
Yeah, I mean, Sam, I definitely think Sam is like fairly sort of beloved by BAFTA. I'm pretty sure it'll get put in the noms for that. And it should be anyway, but it's just anytime I'm a bit of I do like my kind of like classic games, but anytime anyone does something weird or like really different, I'm like, what is that? I must understand it. I want to see how that works. That fascinates me. Things that are different always kind of like fascinate me. So I tend to like if a game is like a bad version of something else or something really, really similar to something else, it might be good, but I won't be drawn to playing it. Like I really just want to find people who are kind of pushing the edges in some way or another, or breaking down barriers in some way or another, you know what I mean, like things like that,
something a bit atypical that's not like your general like first person shooter every single year, these more experimental games. I love that, like oh god, what was the game that came out? I don't think it might have been within the last year. Other than the ending to it, I think it's like 12 minutes or something. It might have been 12 minutes.
Oh, 12 minutes. Yeah.
The game that like you're stuck in the time loop. I thought that was like a really, really cool, like different take on a game. And so I love that kind, other than the ending, which was not really for me.
No, and like I think there was some little bits where it was making you go through some really horrible conversations over and over again, which was like
and doing some horrible things
it's
too.
Like the 12th time I've had to not so keen. I tell you what is fun that's weird, and if you haven't played Metal Hellsinger.
Oh yes, that was that I've heard the soundtrack for that is absolutely fantastic.
But it's just exactly how you imagine you were going to play like Doom and stuff anyway, which is like headphones on, music up, like it's weird. That's clever and interesting as well, like really interesting. Done well.
Smashing demons to the beat, I can get down with that.
I mean, that's how I go around my house, slamming doors when I'm in a foul mood,
It's how you start your day. Just step outside, just smash a demon to the beat, and just with your headphones on. Yeah.
I mean, and then I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's so many good games that have come out this year.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, Game Pass is like a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I love it deeply, but oh my god, sometimes you're just like, just stop putting them out.
Should I tell you a game that I played on Game Pass, which I'm actually regretted? I fully played it yesterday. Somerville. I was so excited for this game.
No, that's definitely on my list too. Yeah.
So it's not by Playdead, who did Inside and Limbo, but it's from like one of the co-founders of Playdead. It's a different team who's working on it, and I was ready for something like
the producer who made, when
I was really looking forward to this because it looked very War of the Worlds-ish, and I just was really lacking, and I really hated the ending. But and it was really, really quick as well. It didn't seem to have as much love or care as those other two titles. Not to like dampen your excitement for it or anything like that. It just didn't hit. Maybe it's because I'm older now, but it just didn't hit the same way.
But I don't know. Like the thing is, like once you played a certain kind of game, like you always want things to be evolving or being a much better version. And if it's really similar, unless it's like a universe and a world that you're obsessed with and you're just like eat up, it really has to do something quite unique and quite different or be that much better. Because also now we've literally just been moaning about this all the way through, which is just like, who has the time? Now I'm getting quite militant about it, where I'm like, I literally haven't, like, how many evenings this week do I have? Okay, so maybe like 2 evenings this week or 3 evenings this week. Like, what am I going to play? What am I actually going to get sort of like satisfaction from? I think that's why I didn't click with Elden Ring to start with, because I was so time poor that like I'd have like 2 hours in the evenings, and I just died, and then it took me an hour to remember what I was doing, and then I was dying, and I was like, I need something where I've got like a day to play it to like actually feel like I went anywhere. But
or like a jump in, jump out game that you can just like dive into.
Yeah, I'm. This is exactly me. Like I have My video game playing is like an hour. It's 45 minutes. It's hour and a half. It's kind of like jump in, jump out, and it's having those kind of like simple level based sort of things, or simple things you can just kind of turn on, smash some shit up, and then go home. Is what I need in my life.
I will
Roller
say
Dome. That's the other one.
Roller
It's been
Dome.
Roller Dome
Yeah.
because it came out at like a weird time where there's some other stuff, and I was like, yeah. I've downloaded it. It's literally been sitting on there, and yeah, definitely Roller Dome. That looks super fun.
I will say, as a full-time streamer, I kind of have like a leg up over you all for the games that I should play.
Dedicated time. Yeah.
The funny thing is that it's actually kind of like a little joke within the community, is that I kind of abandon every single game, that I just don't finish things.
It's fine. Come on. No, I don't know.
amount-
You remember like remember all the times when you like tried like reading books and you punished yourself by finishing them, and then you get older and you're like, no,
Yeah.
it's fine. Play what you want
Yeah.
to play.
Well, my time is
Also-
valuable.
Exactly. Don't just
The way
play
the
it.
games are going in the current sort of state of game development, who can ever really finish a game? Because
No.
there's always a season pass, there's always an extra, there's always something, there's a loot
True.
box halfway through or something. So it's
True.
kind of like,
Fortnite is demanding my time. There's
Yeah,
another battle pass to get
even-
through. So
even if you play Red Dead 2, like finishing the game, it comes up to say like 40% complete. And it's like, well, it's not finished then, is it? Because I now have to go and do all the fishing and kill all the bears.
collectibles and side quests are the bane of my existence, and I love them so much. Like playing through God of War Ragnarok, like there's all this side stuff to do, and I'm like, I have to do every single thing, and hopefully I can finish the story. But it's like you're not as strong in the battles if you don't get this side thing. You know what I mean? Like you
Very
need.
true.
You need all this like I saved, and this is a little tiny spoiler for a tiny segment of God of War Ragnarok. In a side quest, I saved a massive floating flying jellyfish, and it was amazing. And if I had skipped the side quest stuff, I wouldn't have seen that. And like,
Wow, yeah.
it's absolutely fantastic. And I have to do everything, but it makes everything take so long.
Last quick question: is there any games that are kind of Christmas favorites that are kind of you play every year, or like you always get the family around to play Mario Party and then
My
shout at
family
each
doesn't
other,
like
or-
video games. My family will
friends.
barely
Aw.
play
Found
board
family.
games with me. No, I mean Jackbox is always a good shout, you know, for that kind of stuff to play with people online. But if it's my family actually kind of likes your traditional like charades and just board games. My dad will buy the weirdest like board games just picked up from like that have been knocked down in price. And like the last year he bought this like headband game where you have like, it was for children. It was a game for children. It was like for 5-year-olds that you put the card in, you have to guess what it is, but it's all like it's a duck or you know, a farmyard animal or an object. And we had so much fun with it. It's actually unbelievable how stupid it was, the stupid amount of fun that we had with this children's game. So yeah, these weird like little games that my dad will pick up. That's usually what we
That's
do.
cute though.
I
but,
can't
like,
remember it off the top of my head, but the name of it, which doesn't really help the conversation, but go with me a second. But my mum belongs to one of these kind of like charity social clubs, and she had been introduced to this game, which is like a tile matching game. It's German, I believe, and the name's quite Germanic. And so she'd bought the whole kit, and we'd come over, and then, but the problem was she'd played it when she was a couple of wines down. And we were also a couple of wines down on Christmas Day, so she'd completely forgotten the rules for it. So we actually, and because the instructions were in German, it was kind of like in the end we kind of had to make our own. She sort of said, I think this does that, and I think this does that, and so we just kind of had to make it up as we go along. But yeah, talk about random charity shop finds, and then of course Uno, if you want to completely screw your entire family up, and you don't want a peaceful Boxing Day, then
No, that's Monopoly for my family. Just
Okay.
screaming
no
at each other.
one. Oh yeah.
yeah.
No, Monopoly. Our family doesn't really do anything. We basically just don't talk to each other and watch TV all day, lying around after eating too much food. It's kind of really how it goes.
Standard.
Yeah.
We get like an hour or two of that after dinner, and then it's like, okay, get the board games out. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah. The conversation's gone completely stale. We need something we need something to distract us. Let's do a board game.
I will say one game that I will be playing over Christmas that I do want to mention, Crisis Core Reunion just came out, and I only want to play it because I'm sure there'll be a queer relationship between Zach and Cloud Strife, and I just want to explore that potential bromance because I've never played it before, so it's going to be good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good festive holiday chat. And
Yes.
whatever you play at Christmas, have a good one and try not to fall out with too many family members.
Yes. Okay. So, but we're gonna move on now, and Julia, it's actually time for your spotlight. We're gonna get to know you a little bit more. Yeah, we're gonna get to know you a little bit more. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to know?
A
What do you want to know?
a few simple questions, a little light probing.
As long as
Just
it's not
in
too
time for the
girthy,
holidays.
it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
God.
If it's not a girthy probe, then that's fine.
No, it's quite slim questions.
Yes.
The visual imagery is fantastic.
Welcome to the Gayming Podcast.
Hi.
What's been your journey through the games world to where you are today? So, like, take us from
So I know
your
you
sort of professional life.
Oh,
you've had a huge career, an immensely successful career, as we can say.
Yeah.
So convoluted. Okay,
So try and crunch it down to like 3 minutes.
Where do you want to start from? Do you want to start from hospital radio, or do you want to start from earlier than that? Where do you want to start?
I think I should probably just start with I sort of fell into presenting. I studied photography. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a photographer. Did a degree in it. Pointless. Only paid that off the other year. God, I thought I was just going to move abroad. And when I first got into presenting, it was for this rock music channel, which is really fun and really silly fun, and interviewed like hundreds and hundreds of bands and stuff like that. And they wanted to do a review show. So like of like albums and like different stuff. And I was like, well, can we do games as well? Because I like games. And they're like, okay. So then we started reviewing games and stuff like that on the show. And I remember this is how long ago that was. That was when the PS3 came out, because it was my first interaction with PlayStation, and a guy called Hugo who worked there for many, many years, who sorted me out the PS3.
I'm just Googling the PS3 release date.
It's a long time ago. So that was kind of my first bit of like game reviewing. And then after that channel folded, I was like, well, I think I want to still do this presenting thing, but we're talking about a time where like how would you even do that? Like, it's not like you can just find someone on Twitter or, practiced on YouTube or anything like that. So I chose this like really terrible website, and there was an open audition for a Bravo TV show called Game Face. And I was like, I could do that. And then went along to this audition and got the job. And then I did this show on Bravo for like maybe like a year and a half or something like that. And then Bravo folded. I swear to God, it wasn't me. Although it did happen twice. And then we ended up doing another show on Challenge called Game Face. Oh, sorry, that was called The Blurb. And then we did that for a while. And then I've been working with this one company for a bit. And I was like, actually, I feel like maybe I could go freelance, which I think actually at the time, in hindsight, was a really risky decision. I'm not sure to make the same decision here. It worked out fine, but risky. There weren't that many jobs, Julia. But anyway, but yeah, then I just started working freelance. And from then, yeah, I've done like so many different things. I'll probably say like big kind of pivotal moments where I've been doing a lot of work for Radio 1 kind of off and on, and I got brought on as their first kind of gaming presenter. They'd never had one before. So we did that for a while, like a few years. I keep like not working for the BBC, and then they bring me back in for something. Then what other kind of stuff? So then doing like loads of live stuff, and I've always wanted to like do lots of presenting. There's so many different aspects of it, and I always wanted to sort of learn everything, and live always kind of like terrified me, and so I just did more of it, and more kind of esports stuff. Did lots of different esports stuff, but then found one, Gran Turismo, that I really, really love. I really enjoy like the team behind it and everything around it, and that's sort of where I've kind of stuck with. But now like live is my favorite thing, like my absolute favorite thing in the whole world. I love it. And even when it's really complicated and everything goes wrong, that's sort of like my favorite version of it, because that's the best one, because afterwards it's like a high. You're like, what? So yeah, I've been doing that. And then God, what else? It's really hard to make this succinct. And then I suppose, most recently was CBBC Game on Grandparents. We're just pitching for series 2 and 3 at the moment. So hopefully that will get signed off and we'll get 2 series signed off at the same time. That'd be great.
Awesome.
I hope that goes through. Yeah, you've worked with so many different like companies and like big names. Like
I've just been around for so long. You inevitably meet everyone.
Yeah. You did you do stuff with Sky News as well?
Oh God, yeah. They wanted me to do like a tech slot. And like, don't get me wrong, I do like a bit of tech, but I'm not like a tech person. And I tried to stress this to them at the start. And they were like, no, it's fine. And I was like, is it though?
You play games, you know tech. That's right? It comes together, right? Yeah.
Same thing at all. But then I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And it was really good in the sense that actually a lot of the stuff they were talking about was some of it was consumer tech stuff, but more of it was kind of like bigger like ideas around that. And there was some gaming that was blended into it. But look, after doing that, this is how I got good at live, because I was like, if I can go on that and they're going to ask me specific tech questions of like how things work, and that's not my job and I can still explain it, then great. And I remember there was one where the host had asked me, like, how does this specific like tech thing work? It was a direct question. And I was like, I have no like there is no way I can bullshit this. I do not know the answer to this question. So I was like, oh God. I was like, well, how am I going to get out of this? And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting question. But actually what's more important is like this other thing, and just totally deflected. Excellent. And after that point, I was like, I can do any live show ever. If I can get out of a direct question, like it was really specific.
That's some politician level, talking right there. Let's go.
I am fine. I've got no problem. I will never be talked into a corner. It's fine. And so I've just been kind of, I don't know. I've done loads of different stuff. I like that. That's how I am with my gaming. I like lots of different things. I don't really like one specific thing only. Because
fingers and a lot of pies, so to speak.
Life is really interesting. Yeah. And there's so many interesting, and it's why I like gaming. I get to experience a million different things. And I think, part of like me figuring out who I was so intrinsically tied to gaming, allowing me that kind of exploration and that to reveal that kind of understanding about myself. And I love the fact that I can see things. I love the fact that, it can challenge how I think about stuff and change my mind about stuff. It's the most powerful thing in the entire world. Hence why I love it. Yeah.
Like you mentioned there with you connecting with gaming and allow it to like discover who you are as well. I know that you've come out in the past just generally, but this year you came out as non-binary. Did you want to talk about like that experience for you? What has that been like? Like, first of all, like what was the reaction like to just in general among your fans and people online? Like, how did that go for you? Or even more personally, like what was the process for you like?
I think that it all kind of started where my parents have been really ill for the best part of a decade. And I'm sort of like coming out the other side of, it just takes up a lot of like capacity in your head. You're always worrying about stuff. So you don't really have any space for you or time and energy for yourself. And actually being alone is deeply painful because you think about all these horrible things that are happening or are about to happen. Like I couldn't meditate, things like that. It made me cry. So I didn't want to be alone, didn't want to think about that stuff. So obviously you never really ask yourself any really big questions because you don't want to talk to yourself because it's just whatever's going on up here isn't great. And I think after I sort of came out the other side of it, there was just something wasn't clicking. And I never really thought about it before because I guess I just didn't have the capacity, but like something just wasn't, I was like, why am I like this? Like the older I'm getting, the less any of this makes any sense. And like the further I feel like me, how is that possible? Everyone gets older and things click into place. And I feel like when I was actually in my early 20s, I felt more me than I do now. How is that possible? I don't understand. And I think this is just a question that I kept like asking myself. And I was like, what does that mean? And then basically, one day I was running on a treadmill and I've got some, wonderful friends and they've like come out as like non-binary and stuff like that and had lots of conversations with them about different things. But I was running on this treadmill. I thought, well, maybe I just haven't asked myself the right questions. Like maybe I'm trans. Like what? I've literally never asked myself that question. Could that be what it is? Like I've never asked myself that. I've never thought about that. Anyway, I was running on a treadmill and I thought, I have this thing about saying things out loud because I feel like when you actually vocalize things, somehow to me anyway, it's way more impactful. Like whatever you feel, when you say something and you're like, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, didn't know that. Touched the button. Anyway, so I'm running on this treadmill and I was like, okay, and I just said out loud, I'm a man. I was like, I just want to see how that feels. What does that do? Does that connect in some way? Have I just been ignoring this whole thing the whole time? And I said it out loud and I was like, no, I don't feel anything towards that. Okay. And then I said, I'm a woman. And I burst into tears because it had the same, it was not, none of it. It felt the same as saying I'm a man. It literally had no impact on me whatsoever. And I was like, plus I was running on a treadmill and then I was crying. And if you're crying while running, you look like you're having like some sort of heart attack or like people start to look. So I was like, I stopped because you get really hyperventilating,
Hold on, was this at a public gym?
This was at a public gym.
This was a public
I chose this moment, obviously, to do this, idiot. And then I just sort of like stopped and I was like, Jesus, I was like, there is clearly something going on in this like space. Not sure what it is, but I feel like I have to have follow-up questions. And that was kind of the sort of first point where I thought like maybe there is something that I haven't really addressed in myself. And then talking more and more to like non-binary friends and reading more up and listening to them podcasts and just kind of exploring it a little bit more about like what that would mean and what like where do I fit within this. And then I think I sort of kind of half came to that conclusion, but then I started, when you suddenly you look at things through that lens and I'm like, it's so obvious. Like literally since I was a kid, my mum would always tell these stories about how like I would, as a kid, as a baby, she would try and put me in a dress and I would scream until I was blue and nearly pass out. She just gave up. She's like, I can't put you in a dress. Like literally physically couldn't do anything that was to do with being female or things that were kind of hyper feminine. I was really adverse by. And then even then when I started presenting, so like I just used to dress in like kind of skater boy, kind of baggy trouser, like really non-gender anything. And when I first got that presenting job for that rock channel, one of the first things I did, because like a lot of the other presenters were women and they were very sort of kind of fairly sexual and fairly kind of rock glam, right?
I mean, that was gaming at that time, though, I imagine, like any female presenting.
Like fully that, right? And like they were like, if you're going to do this job, you need to go and buy some women's clothes. And they literally took me off to Camden and were like, off you go. And that was really impactful. From that, I was like, okay, if I want to do this job that I really love, clearly I have to look like a woman because that's how I get jobs. And I think that was my first job. Like it just stuck with me right from the start. So if I look back then, like all the stuff, like I'd read like women's magazines and it was like homework. Like, oh, okay, what fucking like what can I like wear that doesn't make me want to like fully hate myself? Like what's a compromise here of like, and I think back to like all the clothes that I wear and my wardrobe was so weird. It was like work, Julia, like just totally different. And I was just like, yeah, but it's like people wear a suit, you know, I got to dress like this. And then the more I thought about the hair and I was like, why have I kept this hair for so long? It was just a crutch. It was like
you used to have like super long hair.
So long for like 20 years. It was like a ridiculous amount of time. And then I started to think, well, maybe I have it because then it's like I can still like present femme, you know, and female, but I can wear whatever I like because I could literally wear anything and you put the hair down and it's like, no, you're still feminine. It's okay. Like I can actually wear the clothes I wanted to wear if I had my hair down. It was so anyway. And then that's part of the reason why I ended up like, everything I just wanted to just get rid and cut it all off and stuff. But it's been a really weird year, but good weird in that I feel so like a lot of the time when I'd have like makeup artists for work, or sometimes they might get you clothes, different things like that. And a lot of the time I would never really have like a sense of style because none of it was me. It didn't matter what they suggested. None of it was me. And like, so I was doing this job for Lotus, and the makeup artists were amazing. They're really sweet, and they were like, "Oh, we could do these plats." And so I was like, "Oh, it's not really sort of my kind of thing." And they were, "Oh, what about like this thing and this other kind of feminine thing?" I was like, "Well, actually, maybe no." And then basically, you end up with something there's no version of what they're suggesting that's you anyway. So you just end up like, I'd look back at stuff and be like, and don't get me wrong, I look like a beautiful woman. They did an amazing job. I'm not a beautiful woman. That's not me. That's not who I am. That's not what I want to put out into the world. That's not an expression of myself. And I think back to all these things, and I look back at old photos from my hosting, and I'm like, what am I wearing? Like, not just in the sense of like, maybe it's not fashionable anymore, but just like, this is so not me. Like, I try dresses on now, and it gives me the ick all the time. Like, there is some stuff that I still like, but like, it's now that I've kind of opened that up, I'm like, God, why did I? And then the last job that I just did, which was Gran Turismo champs in Monaco, I was like, right, this now I'm going to wear what I want to wear. And honestly, I can't explain like the euphoria at work. For the first, I don't even remember having that sense of like, I would play at being a woman and would feel the power of doing that, but it just wasn't me. And like, whilst you would get like, hey, you look like really nice, or like whatever, which was fine, but like, it just didn't mean anything because it was just a complete fabrication. Whereas like everything I wore in Monaco this time, and like my hair's short, and I can wear a suit, and I can wear these things, and just suddenly I was like, it's the empowered version of me I always wanted, I just didn't know was there, or I didn't know I could have. So yeah, it's been a really good year. I'm in a really cool place. It's great.
I mean, everyone has to work it out in their own way, in their own time. And I think those kind of come to Jesus moments. It's fascinating how everybody's story is slightly different, but it all kind of points in the same direction. What advice would you give to a young LGBTQ person wanting to get into the industry?
Oh, just embrace everything you've got. Well, first of all, we've got an amazing community who is super supportive, and it grows day by day by day. Things have changed so much in the gaming industry from even when I started. I mean, there was literally like a few, like it was really deeply unpleasant. And now
definitely,
it is deeply unpleasant.
Yeah.
And now it's actually, there are real, like most of it for the most part is super wonderful, and there are so many people out there who want to support you in achieving your goals. It's a much more supportive, like, it's not, when I started it was like, if you got one job then someone else didn't get that job, it was very much more kind of cutthroat, and it's not like that now. It feels a lot more even just outside of the community, it feels a lot more supportive of each other. I would just say lean into what you're really good at. Like, think about what you love doing, right? So for me, I like talking to people. I love it. I love asking questions. I always have a question. It's great. So literally, I know I was only ever going to go into presenting, really, because it allows me to kind of do all those things. So think about like what things you love. Yes, okay, stream, but there is an element of it does turn into a job. So just be mindful about what you decide and what kind of things you set yourself, and be kind of kind to yourself. Like, just try a lot of different stuff out. That's probably the best thing for most jobs anyway. Try a bunch of different stuff and see what stuff you get inspired by, or like you talk to your friends about, because you're like, oh, okay, so this thing happened. That usually, like, life always gives you some really strong signals and signposts. You can spend your life ignoring them sometimes, so just listen to that kind of like, inner voice, and it will always kind of steer you right. Like, anything you think about a lot, anything you talk about a lot, anything you spend your time on the internet reading, like, what do you read? Is it because you want to be a writer, or is it because you want to, I don't know, critique games in a different way? Like, just think about how you spend your time, and it will give you the clues of like where to start. And then all you really need to do is kind of take those steps into just doing it, whether that's just like doing it at home, or doing a stream at home, or just writing some stuff, or like just getting involved into like going to events and meeting people and talking to people who make your favorite game, become like the best fan, so they invite you along to some stuff, and then you can meet them that way. And then there's lots of ways and opportunities, especially if you've got a little bit of like hustle, and especially if you're just really passionate. People just want to be surrounded by people who are passionate, whatever that is. Yes. It's infectious. I mean, that's one of the benefits of like, being a presenter is I get to be surrounded by like super nerds, all the time. I love Super Nerds, my favorite, because you're talking to people who are just so passionate about particular subjects. I get excited talking to them, and I want to know everything it is to know about that. And like, I love that exchange of energy. I love it. Maybe I'm like a sort of weird energy vampire, like from what they do in the shadows or something. I don't know. But
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I feel
like I give some back.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have the gift of the gab, which is amazing. I will say, like, some of the best memories I have. I used to listen to this podcast called oh God, what was it called? I think it was the Game Station podcast at one time. And then it became the Co-optional podcast. And I know you made appearances on the Co-optional podcast as well. Those were some of the most enjoyable episodes just because of the amount of banter and talk. Yeah. And of course, Rip Total Biscuit, you will be remembered. But yeah, you've been online for like such a long time as well, existing. Like, and you've mentioned like attitudes generally changing. Do you think they are changed quite a bit for the better, like in terms of like how people interact?
I mean, I definitely think it's better. Like even just, you know, being someone who's been genuinely a woman, like sort of roughly for most of my life. Like I remember like doing jobs where like every time I would start doing a TV show, I would just get so much like, who the fuck is this blonde bitch, like all this kind of stuff. And there were people who worked at the same company who knew less than nothing about games and would never get that. And, you know, they were not female or whatever. And it was frustrating. It was very frustrating. But it's definitely changed. You know, I think everyone's done a really good job of standing up for themselves and pushing back, because when I was there, it was very much a case of like, don't feed the trolls. And it was one of the worst bits of advice they ever gave women. It was like, step out of the space, leave it to the men. Sure, that sounds like just leave it to the people and let them have all the space, and you have none of the space, and you just keep quiet and just don't let it bother you. And it's just as soon as we all started being like, no, fuck off, and everyone's saying no, fuck off, then it really has started to sort of have an impact, and things have come on like leaps and bounds. Like, honestly, it's just so much better and just so much more inclusive. It was really, not the one to start with, but
I definitely think like after like the Me Too movement as well, there was kind of like a ripple effect that happened in multiple industries, and especially like the gaming industry. I remember like seeing like so many like horrifying in the streamer stories about like just horrible people just finally getting their their stuff put out into the light. And like I definitely feel like we have made strides in making the community a lot more accepting and open of people. Obviously there's still work to be done, and as you said, you've talked about this so much as well. I know you did a whole TEDx talk about this kind of thing too, in terms of like on being online. Absolutely amazing, by the way. It's not everybody that can say I've done like a TEDx presentation.
It was interesting. That was the night of the first like EU referendum when David Cameron.
Oh really?
Oh god!
Wow.
And I was in Canada, and I was trying not to watch the television and learn my lines, and I was like, this is not the time, guys. Come on. Because also that at that point, not many people really put their head above the parapet so much. I was doing this blog called Misogyny Monday, where I was just like taking screen grabs of all these stupid things and just showing these people up, because it was just like half of it was just no one believed. Like half of it is always just not. It's the thing happening, but it's also everyone being like it didn't happen is almost sometimes as bad as the thing happening, right? Not always, obviously, but like some of the time, because you're like, I'm not crazy, and I was saying all this stuff about stuff that was happening to me online, and all these men were like, well, I've never seen that, and it's like, well, no, you wouldn't. Like, why would you? And it was just this sheer frustration that I was like, why? It's like, when you're a kid and an adult does something really bad and you tell your parent and they don't believe you, and it's just this horrible feeling of like, Jesus, you're like, why won't you trust me? Anyway, so that's why I started the blog. So I was like, whilst I'm just sort of like taking the piss and out of these people, but it was also showing the comments, because people didn't know these comments happened, but showing it in a way that was funny so everyone can kind of get on board, whatever. And that's how the TEDx talk like came about. But yeah, there weren't many people kind of doing it, and I was a bit stressed about it, because I was like, if I don't word this perfectly, there'll be like SWAT teams at my house. Like I knew my life was over, right? Which is a lot of pressure standing on a stage anyway in front of a load of people. But like,
having watched it, you did absolutely like fantastic. So I wouldn't even worry about that. Was the reception like? How did you feel like that went over for you? Was it?
Yeah, I mean, I used to be like a really obsessed with being quite a perfectionist with presenting, and I used to watch things back and kind of pick things apart. But that, I don't know how it happened, but that was probably as close to perfection of anything I've ever done. And I don't know how it happened because it was one of the most like biggest kind of, you expect me to like mess up like a little bit, but I just remember getting there and I was sort of freaking out. And we went to the auditorium the day before and they've got this big dot on the floor. It's very late and there's like a clock, like it couldn't be any more intimidating. You got no notes, you got nothing. And then I remember like standing on the dot and being like, okay, when you stand up here, you just need to like look like you want to be here. So just stand here now and don't feel like you want to get, like you want to leave the stage. If it feels like you want to leave the stage, you're going to pace, like run through what you say really quickly. And you just want to look like you belong there. I remember thinking that and standing on there and being like, okay, so this is how I'm going to stand tomorrow. And anyway, and then when I went and did it, and like, there's an interesting story in that they ask you, a lot of people are like promoting their books and stuff like that when they do these things. So before I came out, they were like, what books would you like? They sell them like in the foyer. And I just recommended like some feminist literature and stuff like that. And anyway, so I did the talk. It went really well. Afterwards, all these like young women were coming up being like, I'm going to say something now. And which was like the best compliment I've ever had about anything I've ever done in my life. I was like, Jesus, I've actually done something impactful once. And then afterwards, they were telling me that, the guy who was running the TEDx event was basically saying that he goes over like and asks the guy from the bookstall like what sells well, just sort of out of interest or whatever. And the guy was like, oh, weirdly, we've sold out of all this like feminist literature and I've had to like restock it 3 times. And he couldn't understand because like when you looked on the program, it didn't say like Julia
There's
Hardy,
nothing
like feminist something.
Yeah.
It was just like an advocate in the gaming world or something. So he was like, why do I keep selling out these feminist books? Like, what?
Great.
I don't understand. But
that's fantastic.
That was one of the best things I've ever done. It's probably the thing I'm most proud of because I worked really hard on it. And it was sort of just like the culmination of like doing this blog for ages and just being like, I've had enough. And it's funny, people keep finding it. Last year when I went out to LA, I think Aaron Greenberg from Xbox had just found it because he kept bringing it up and telling people about it. She did a TEDx talk like this. And I was like, this has been online for like 8 years. But yeah, I think people keep finding it and that's kind of cool. And the strangest people sometimes bring it up as well, that they just randomly found it. But
me included, So
yeah, it's funny.
And
like
here
that,
we are.
Yeah. So very quickly, I know we've been talking a lot about the past, but what is coming up for you in 2023 that you're most excited about? I know you've talked in the past about wanting to get like a more casual gaming centered show together. Is that still something that you're working on, or is there something else coming up that you're excited for?
I'm constantly pitching ideas like all the time. That's all I ever want to do is like make TV show ideas. I don't know why. I can't stop it. So yeah, number one will be getting Game On Grandparents, get that signed up for series 2 and 3. That'll be the dream. Unpacking these last boxes that are on my floor would also is like top of the list. But yeah, I still like my whole career has been centered around trying to push gaming more mainstream. That's how I've made all the sort of decisions of jobs that I've sort of made, more mainstream stuff like Radio 1 and things like that, rather than kind of staying at like an IGN or a GameSpot or something. Like I want to push it out more. And that goal I still feel is something I still want to achieve. I've got lots of other show ideas about different stuff I want to do. So I'm kind of just pitching a whole load of different ideas at this time. And hopefully, because it sort of felt very much like my career had been kind of like ramping up just before lockdown happened. It was getting to a really nice thing. I was just doing this BBC Sound podcast with Aoife Wilson from Eurogamer. That was going really well. And it was just like things were picking up. And then sort of lockdown happened. And it sort of, whilst I've been working, but it's not quite sort of the same. And now it kind of feels like it's building back up again as well. So hopefully there'll be a lot more opportunities to kind of push things more mainstream, because there should be more mainstream shows. It's crazy that there aren't,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
definitely.
It's like the most popular entertainment medium in the world. We did a gaming show, it didn't work. It's like, well, God, you just think about how many blooming shows about frigging canals are there, for God's sake?
Yeah, there's so many like niche things. Like you think that'd be something that appeals to like most people. Like
how many
are
different
gamers.
how many different dating show formats? And why isn't there a gaming dating show format?
Oh,
there was one being
interesting.
pitched around at one point that was called like, what's it called? Like Player 2 or something, I don't know. But also it'd be really interesting whether you just dated in game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dating game.
Yeah, call it
I
You
think
Got
it's big.
Game or something like that.
Yeah. Like the circle, right? So you
Wrap
can't
my
ever
joystick.
see anyone.
I don't know.
Oh Jesus! But like like the circle where you
no
can't.
one clip that.
Yeah, clip it now. But do you know what I mean? Like no, like something a bit like the circle where you don't know who anyone is, but you just meet everyone in game. That could be really interesting.
Oh, that's
Give
cool.
Give it a couple of years. You could get into the metaverse with that.
I don't want to
That's an
meet
interesting
anyone
idea.
who's in the metaverse. That's like going on to like Plenty of Fish or something. It's like the gaming dating equivalent of that. Like,
No, you've got to go to VR chat for dating. That's the place that you go to.
Oh God, no!
Nah.
Metaverse dating is not the one.
Yeah, and no doubt you're also looking forward to the Gayming Awards that are
I mean,
coming up
it
as
goes
well.
without saying, did you
Yeah.
know that they're in New York City?
New York
Broadway.
City. On Broadway. That's amazing.
First
All
I've
right.
heard of it.
So-
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
It's going to be fantastic. So this has been wonderful talking to you and chatting about stuff, but we're not quite done. We always finish with what we like to call quick fire
it's a song.
questions.
Wait, no.
No, no. It's
Oh,
time for your
karaoke. No, it's
performance. We're doing karaoke.
Oh,
No, we wouldn't put you through that, unfortunately, especially not Robin's karaoke. Not that I've heard it or anything.
And you never will. I don't do karaoke. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
I'll get you to do it sometime. Oh,
luck.
it'll happen.
This just
It'll
sounds like
happen.
a challenge. In,
Yeah, it does.
if we can get him wasted enough.
in
Okay.
New York City.
New York City.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta drag Robin to karaoke in New York City. That sounds like a good time. Right, quick fire questions. So rules are just say the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh,
You don't
God,
have
I'm
to go
gonna-
into great detail about anything. It's
Culturally
just-
and career-ending. Quick
Yes.
fire
Yeah.
questions.
This
It's
is what we
safe.
hope
They're
for.
safe
Let's go.
questions, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I'm not worried at all.
Okay, cool. What's been your favorite game this year?
Oh God. Stray so far.
Cute.
What was the one game that defined your childhood?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Hell yeah.
Who's your favorite video game character?
I think probably Commander Shepard. Fem Shep, obviously.
Ooh, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. What game do you most want a
Really
sequel
disrespectful
to?
Mark Mir. Sorry. I just like
No,
to-
FemShep is best.
Right,
that is
right.
ideal.
Sequel. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I've got a really good one. Bulletstorm.
Bullets.
It was really good. Add in
Very
some
nice.
like Borderlands-esque electrical, caustic, like fire elemental damage.
Nice. You heard it here
Awesome.
first.
Yeah.
Who would be your dream interview guest? So you pin one person down and you get to interview them, dead or alive.
Dead or alive. Oh God.
Could be fictional as well.
Okay. Gia Karanji, you know the model who like was one of the most like first kind of openly queer models who sadly passed away from AIDS. She was when Cindy Crawford came along, she looked so much like her. They used to call her Baby Gia. That Angelina Jolie did a movie. Every straight man has like seen it because Angelina Jolie gets her tits out.
There you go.
Basically. But,
Oh,
yeah,
Gia.
really
The
interesting.
movie's called Gia. Yeah.
Okay, what game are you most looking forward to coming out in 2023? Anything on the horizon?
Starfield, I reckon.
Okay.
Maybe. Yes.
This next
What's
one's
the-
a deep cut.
Yeah. What's the best LucasArts game?
Best LucasArts game. Day of the Tentacle. Wait, it wasn't LucasArts. Was it LucasArts? I feel like it was LucasArts. It was around the same time.
Possibly. Maybe.
No.
I have an admission. I don't think I've ever played a LucasArts game except for Bull Blazer, which was I think was their very first game. But that's the only LucasArts game I played.
Is Day of the Tentacle I feel
Maybe.
Sam.
Come on, chat. Oh, Tayson's already said
It is LucasArts.
It is.
Oh
is.
yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Confirmation
Yes,
of the LucasArts.
Tayson.
Oh, cancelled? Why am I cancelled?
Also, you've been cancelled.
Because of Ball Blazer? What? It was the first game. I played on the Atari 2800. I don't know what console it was on. Anyway, what's the best esports moment you've witnessed?
Oh God, it was the Gran Turismo Championships World Finals when we were at Sydney. It was like an epic last race that basically came down to like the final moment, and everybody lost their entire voice because they were screaming so much, and it was amazing.
Oh yes.
Last question. It's a bit more of a slightly need to expand your mind slightly. If you're marooned on an island, but it is a very technical island because you can have Wi-Fi in that, but you can't call for help and you can't call an Uber.
Right.
If you were marooned on an island, what 3 games would you want to have with you?
Okay, wait a minute. Can they be online games?
Yeah.
Yes, but you can't use that to call for help.
Well, you've definitely got to have like an online multiplayer game because then it would be different every time. But what? Which one? Oh God. What can I play over and over and over again? Maybe like Mass Effect 2 for like when I feel lonely and I need to romance my subordinates in a really inappropriate now way.
Fantastic choice. Who's your this bonus quickfire question? Who's your personal go-to in Mass Effect 2?
I think it was in Mass Effect 2. So I play as Femshep, and it was what's the like ensign's name? You know, like your
Oh God,
what's
yes.
her face by the thing.
I cannot remember her name.
Come on, Jack.
You know what I mean?
Chat'll know.
But that's what I mean. But it's like slightly inappropriate. Like you're the boss, but then you're like, I mean,
who's the ensign from Mass Effect?
And 2? I know who voices it. It's so stupid. Anyway,
that is reframing that game in a way I didn't want to think about now. But yeah,
we'll come back to that. Two more games on your fictional island.
Oh, this is really hard. See, because I don't replay a lot of stuff because I'm like one go. Maybe I'll play something like, I don't know, like Call of Duty and just become like amazing. When I came off the island, I'd be like fully pro. But like, it's the only time I'd probably dedicate that much time to it. Oh God, and then what else? Can't I get one of those like weird like handheld emulators that has like 4,000 games in one?
Oh, that is so cheating
Like
though.
one of those like cartridges.
It still counts as one game, I guess.
There you go. They were like super illegal.
There you go.
Damn.
Not endorsing that, but we got there.
Okay.
I'm trying to find out who the squad mate is for Mass Effect 2.
Well, because technically she's not even squad mate because she just literally hands you your emails and stuff.
Oh God.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
Well, let's tweet about it after the show.
Okay. All right.
Yes, we'll have to find out later. Right. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Thank you again for joining us today. It's been absolutely fantastic to talk to you and just to get your takes on video games. It's been really fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
it's been a lot of fun. Yes, I have had fun. This has been great, and
awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. No, it's been great, and I can't wait. I can't wait for New York. New York
on Broadway.
Right.
Yes.
Of course. Thank you to you two. My co-host, my lovely co-host, Robin. You've been absolutely fantastic.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Looking forward, as you say, to lots of wonderful things with the Gayming Awards. It's going to be a really, really good year.
Fantastic year. So, once again, thank you everybody for joining us on this special holiday Gayming Awards episode. The Gayming Podcast Live will return this January, so be sure to keep an eye on socials for the next show date. And do not forget to vote for your favorite streamer and game. You can head on over to gaymingmag.com/vote23. That's gaymingmag.com/vote23. Pop down your votes, do all the good stuff. Let us know who you want to win.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, you can follow the Gayming Mag channel right here on Twitch or subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of these amazing shows. And of course, podcasts can be listened back at any time on all major podcast platforms. And if you're listening on those podcast platforms, come on over to the Twitch to join us live, get in the chat and engage with us throughout a wonderful time we all have. So yeah, head on to twitch.tv/gaymingmag.
Yeah, hit that follow button. Hit that follow button. Okay, now I personally will be back hosting a special edition of Let's Go Gaming with some wonderful ambassadors, possibly on the 21st of December. We're still pinning down that date, but it's most likely going to be the 21st of December. So make sure you come back then. You can watch a whole host of gaming ambassadors play a very special game, but we're not going to reveal that just yet. So keep your eyes on the socials. But until then, don't forget to keep reading Gaming Magazine, and we will see you for the holidays or after the holidays. Bye-bye for now. Bye.
Bye. Goodbye. Bye.